and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm going to do a wee bit of photo manipulation, and what I'll do is I'll take an image of a car, I'll use generative AI to give me a background and a scene and a setting, and what I'll do is I'll walk you through how I do it, and I'll hand over to myself and we'll go through the tutorial now. Start our photo manipulation and let's create an image tonight. I've opened up a blank screen, so what I want to now do is create an image. So what I want to try and do here is select my marquee tool, select the canvas, and I'll pop up my generative fill. So if I put in a Scottish themed cobbled street with street lights at night, and then press generate, and then let's see. Alright, so that's not perfect because what we want to do is put a car in here, so when we make up the image that's okay because we've got a full frontal. That's not too bad, it's not quite what we want. Let's press generate again and see what other options we get. Let's see, let's add with pub sign, generate. Still not getting what I'm really looking for is a left to right image. That's getting closer. We need the diagonal here. That would be quite nice actually. Actually that one would be quite nice. Composition street leading to the right. Let's see what it can generate here. It's getting closer, that one's a little bit better. And let's try again, let's see what else we can get. I like that one. I like that one. Persevering with this is because I've got an image in mind to add into it, and it's a car. This is probably quite close actually. Why don't we use this image? Right, so we've got that image, that's now going to be our base image. So what we want to now do is look at a car and bring in a car. See, the composition of this car might not work. So we'll try it. Edit, select subject, and then if I do Control C or Command C, flip back, Control V to copy it back in, then Control T so that I can adjust the scale. I'll slide the car in, keep going, don't want it too small. Right, so I think we can work with this. We'll just have to change the perspective a bit. Right, so we can have the car parked at the door, or we could have the car further down the street. That's too small there. So let's see if we can move the car. In a position where it looks fairly credible. Just rotate it a bit. Right, actually that might work, and I really don't need to change the perspective too much either. Right, so we'll go with that. So what do we need to do now? So we've got this screen, this scene, a nighttime scene. It's a bit oversaturated, a bit too yellow, a bit too blue. But we've got the car, and how do we blend the car in? So first of all, what we need to do is create a shadow. And then I've put in a shadow layer. I'll draw that underneath. I'll type in shadow. Now what we want to do is create a shadow underneath the car. So if I select the pen tool, and if I just increase the size of that brush to 500, if I drop the opacity to 45, I've got black as my shadow colour. Now all I need to do is just draw under the car selectively, so that's a wee bit too much. So if I just go around the edge of the car and just build the shadow up here, just so it looks as though we've got the car there. So we've got the shadow, right, so what we want to do now is change the colour of the car. We want to make the car look as though it's in scene and the colour's reflective of the night. So what we'll do is we'll create a curves tone, and what we'll do is we'll set that as a clipping mask. So create clipping mask, and when I create clipping mask, that means whatever changes I do will only affect the car and not the rest of the scene. So I can darken this down. So if I drag the dark slider, as you can start to see, starts to bring the car down, take away some of the highlights of the car. Let me just give it a wee bit of a pop. Just see if we can get a little bit this side. Right, so that works for me just now. What I won't do is change any more to do with the car, only because the scene is really yellow. So I quite like the scene's really nice, but what we'll do now is if I flatten that image, so if I go layer, flatten, now what I want to do is open filter, camera raw, and now what I want to then do is change the colours in the scene. I don't want to edit anything else other than the colours. So if I go to colour mixer, now what I want to do is I want to pull back the yellows, I want to pull back the oranges. We want to make this look pretty as realistic as we possibly can, because we still have a warm glow at night because of those lights. We don't want to kill the red because we've got a red door there. I don't think there's any greens in there. Just pull it down a little bit. Aqua will take the glare off the windscreen. Now blue for the sky. So we'll address that in a little minute. Magenta, we've got some magenta and purples in the sky. So we'll just lightly pull that back. Again, the magentas, let's see where the magentas are. Got a bit of halo kicking off up the top there beside the light. So we'll just pull that back. So right now we've started to mute the scene quite a bit. It's starting to look quite darkish. So we've desaturated a lot of the colours. Right, so if I go up to mask, select sky. Now what we want to do is take the saturation out of the sky and try and make the sky as kind of grey, dark as possible, not too blue. And then what if I then go back up to exposure, pull down the exposure to darken the sky, still a bit purple, so let's grey that down a bit. So there we go, we've got a darkish sky. Right, so if I then hit OK, well actually the cars, so if I do selection brush, let's just highlight the car, and let's see if we can get some tone, different tones, darken the car's exposure a little bit. Let's pull back the highlights just to give it a wee bit darker, because we'll add a warm edge onto it. Just warm the car up a wee bit, just so it's in keeping with the tone of the street. So there we go, adding a little bit of yellow gives that a little bit of warmth. I can either pull back, yeah, so if I just pull back the saturation slightly, increase the warmth tone, so we're now getting a blend where the car is a similar colour to the bricks in the street now. So if I then close that and go back, the sky still, if I select the sky, I'm still not happy with the sky. Let's see if there's any more we can do. There we go, that's a wee bit better. I think I'll add a wee bit more grey into the sky and then pull down the exposure a little bit more. There you go. Right, so if I then switch back, what the last thing I want to do here is add a little bit of vignetting to the scene, just so that that pulls us, the eye is pulled into the car. Now, if I just do OK, so I'm happy with that. So, as you can see, we've got quite a nice image here. The car's looking good here. What it might just need is a wee bit of depth of shadow at the front just to help. I might want to mute some of this highlight down as well, but I want to add a starburst to that light. So what I'll do is I shall layer, new layer, and then what I'll do is get my pen tool, and I've got a starburst here. Right, so what I want to do now is select the colour. So if I select the colour of the light, and then if I just pop a little starburst at the side, then if I reduce the brush size and then add a starburst here, then subtly we've got little starbursts in the lights. Right, so shadow, so if I go back to the pen tool, so if I create a new layer, and then if I add shadow, get the brush, select my blacks. Actually what I'll do is I'll select a dark brown from the cobbled street, select my brush. I need to change my brush back to soft. I'll increase my brush size, I'll reduce the opacity down to 19, and then I'll just lightly go in front of the car, because what the light's beside the car, but we want to give the car some kind of depth here, because the light's shining this way, so the side's okay. Just want to make sure that we've got some shadow here just to give it a little bit of credibility, and then if we want we can just pull that back just slightly to about 61% opacity. Right, so what I wanted to do now was kind of dull down those cobblestones if I possibly can. Or add a light to the car, so that's what we'll do. So if I go to layer, new layer, and this is the highlight, and then if I take the brush, I've got the brush already, select a kind of lightish tone on the brick, so we've got the tones the same colour, increase the size of the brush, drop the opacity to 6, and then if I just lighten up the car a little bit, and then what I can then do is pull down the opacity, and you'll start to see the difference. Should be very, very subtle. And then what I'll do is I create a new layer, layer new, shadow 2. That should have been highlight, but I know what that means. So if I reduce the brush, I'm still using my colour picker, so I just want to warm that up a wee bit to there, and then what I'll do is I'm still using 6 opacity, and I'll give that just a subtle shining line on the bonnet and here. Let me just increase that a little bit because I can always pull it back. So that's a wee bit too much, but I'll show you what we can do here. So we've got some light bursts there. If I just draw back the opacity, it's just subtle to about there where it looks good. Alright, so the other bit I can do is to dull down the foreground a little bit. I can then layer, new layer, and then what I can do is take the gradient tool, select a colour, so if I select a dark brown, and then if I drag the gradient tool up, that gives me a foreground. So if I then go down to overlay or soft light, soft light or overlay, soft light's better, and then pull back the opacity. It just gives us another little bit of edge that draws us into the car, into the scene. And I think that's us done. What we might do is just pull down a diagonal to see if that works for the sky. Yeah, that works for the sky as well. Right, so if I do layer, flatten image, we've then got an image. If I just do a quick file, save, we'll keep that image as our base image. Right, what I might want to do is, this is bothering me, the dark edge. So I can either crop, and let's just do original ratio, and then just pull that in ever so slightly to there. Maybe lift it up a wee bit. And we can have that as an image. Or, what I could try is using the clone brush and then drag down the edge of the building just to see what that does. And that gives me another edge. Nah, I think we'll go for the crop. So if I then go back, select the crop tool, keep the original ratio, pull that down just to get away from the edge, centre the image a little bit, press that, and there we have the final image. So there you go. If you're ever sitting on a dark night or an early morning and you want to create an image, you can get a generative AI background, take one of your own photographs and add the car in, and then you just need to colour tone and colour match the car with the scene. I hope this works, I hope you like it, and I hope you try it. So I'll pass back to myself. Okay, so hopefully you learned something there. I know everybody has a lot of different editing techniques and you might do things differently, but it gives you an idea. If it's something you've never done, it might be something that you could try, and hopefully it's successful for you. So if you like it, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please do, because you know it's free. And if you press the bell notification, that will let you know the next time I post a video. So thanks very much for watching, and here's to the next video.